everybody. Welcome to the Citizens Gaming Podcast. I'm Tim.
Hey, this is Josh.
And I'm Brenden.
So tonight's episode, or the episode they're releasing today, it's kind of a last minute. There's been some major breaking news in the gaming community. We had to jump on it. We had to make a quick episode about it, and we had to get that information out there.
It's a clapper for sure.
It's arguably the biggest piece of news. God, I don't even know, in a long time. But yeah. Well, slight bit beforehand. About a week ago, in mid-January, Take-Two Interactive, who owns Rockstar Games and 2K Games, announced they were purchasing Zynga for $12.7 million, billion with a B, which is more than like what Microsoft paid for Bethesda. And they're just a mobile games developer. Granted, they're one of the more popular mobile games developers, but they did that. But then apparently Microsoft heard that and said, "Hold my beer," and decided to spend almost $69 billion to purchase Activision Blizzard King, which is, I think it's now like the third largest acquisition, maybe of all time. At least in like the entertainment space, it's like the third biggest acquisition of all time.
I believe what Microsoft acquired ZeniMax Studios for like $7.5 billion.
No, it was like 10.7, I think.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Something like that.
So
it was a pittance, again, a fraction of what this is.
Yeah, I just thought I'd mention that.
So the acquisition of I can't even talk right now. The acquisition of Activision, as we said, is arguably the biggest news to ever break in the gaming community. And
it is, yeah. It is by far the last thing anybody thought any company was going to get their hands on.
Oh, absolutely. Me and you were kind of joking the other day about, you had mentioned that Phil Spencer was hinting towards another big acquisition for Microsoft. And me and you were kind of just throwing out loose speculations of who we would like to see. We did not think that we'd wake up today to see that Activision has been bought out by Microsoft.
Like, how do you even, like, that is the craziest part of it, because that's something that was the last thing on my mind. Like, basically what I was going off of, what I think anybody really goes off of, is like a lot of people have been building their speculations off of just how Game Pass has been working and what company, what devs and stuff have been interested in putting their content on Game Pass. Because I know, like, one of the main things people thought it was going to be Ubisoft. Or they're testing the waters, releasing their Rainbow Six Extinction, a brand new AAA title, day one on Game Pass. And people have been basing a lot of the acquisitions that Microsoft is pushing for off of, like, Game Pass moves through other companies and their interest in it.
Which would make sense.
Yeah. But
to go and get Activision is completely out of left field, in my opinion.
Well, it's, maybe not out of left field, but more of like, kind of.
You're talking
to
about
a point. Maybe, like climbing Everest. It's like it's one of the outside of the three, console makers, and maybe Valve because they own Steam. Like, Activision is one of the three biggest publishing houses out there right now. It's Ubisoft, Activision, and EA are the three biggest, like, third-party publishers in the world. Like, that's not just in America.
Yeah.
Activision has been around for decades.
They've been around since the Atari. They've been around for a very long time.
So in my opinion, I didn't see this coming. I did not see Activision being a company that could have been purchased by Microsoft, just because they've been around for almost since the dawn of time, since the dawn of video games, for sure.
And
And
Pretty
since we had
close.
diapers on, I mean,
and it's just like it's such a standalone company with so many subsidiaries that I would have never ever thought that they would have been bought out by Microsoft.
all right, hear me out. This is just slight speculation on my part. With the dumpster fire that has been
Plaguing
raging
Blizzard.
what plaguing raging in Activision and Blizzard's, within the house. I half believe that they made this move due to a lot of those issues. Maybe scared.
Uh, I don't think so.
No.
I think this was probably happening behind the scenes before that started happening. If anything, this explains why the board of directors was still backing Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard. Um, why they were still backing him after all this stuff came out, because if he had to step down or something, it would have made this transition a million times worse, and they would have lost a lot of money.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
uh,
could see
I
that.
see.
so
Yeah, I
now
see.
they knew this was coming, so they're like, no, we're still backing Kotick because he's about to make us. Every one of those guys on the board and every top brass at Activision and everyone who holds stock in Activision is about to make a fuck ton of money.
Yes.
Eh, Like that, almost 69 billion, like I think it's 68.7 technically,
Yeah.
uh, is them buying out, the entire company, and that's them also paying for buying out every single stock in that company. So everyone who owns a stock, I mean, assuming this deal gets past the government, uh, the FCC, and it passes as not being a monopoly, which it will because America doesn't give a shit anymore. Um, as long as it gets past that, like each one of those people who own stock in Activision is about to get bought out. Like they are going to, each one of their stocks will be sold to Microsoft for however much money those stocks is worth.
Hand
Like
over
they're getting
fist.
bought out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
probably a little more on top of it to like
Yeah.
sweeten the deal. To be like, you know, that's usually how these things go.
So with this though, brings a lot of new hope for Activision and subsidiaries. One of the ones that if you've been sticking with us that you know we've been talking about over the past, I'd say 4 episodes, is the turmoil in Blizzard. Hopefully with the acquisition that Microsoft just made is really going to put some resolution to that, put an end to it, and kind of start anew and put that past behind them and, kind of turn a new leaf and turn Blizzard in a new direction, get rid of those toxic employees, and move forward.
Hopefully. And Phil Spencer did leave a comment on that. One of the things with the people striking was they wanted Bobby Kotick to step down, which now he will not be doing until this acquisition goes through, which will still probably take a year or two, if not more. So he's not stepping down. They still haven't gone back to work. There's a lot of the Activision Blizzard workforce is still on strike. And Phil Spencer, sorry, back to the original point. Phil Spencer did comment that he, once this whole thing goes through, is he fully plans on implementing Microsoft's policies and their inclusive stuff.
I did see that.
Into this structure, which we still don't know entirely what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, again, like Activision does have in-house studios. Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, High
Raven
Moon,
software.
Raven.
The list goes on.
Yeah,
It
they
goes
have
on. Yeah.
a number of studios. But so we don't know if like they're just keeping the label, if they're gonna get rid of Activision altogether and just keep those studios. I really have no idea. Like there's still so much up in the air.
So before we
Um,
dive too deep in that, I wanted to make a comparison. And I told Josh this morning when we were talking about it is Microsoft is becoming the Disney of video games. What I mean by that is think about all the major acquisitions Disney's had over the years with Lucas Studios, and Marvel, and now you've got Microsoft buying uh, Bethesda and its parent company, and now Activision.
Yeah.
Well, if I mean that's not it's actually pretty apt comparison.
Yeah.
Um, if anything, though, I would argue that Microsoft buying Activision is closer to Disney buying Fox.
Yep.
Is a
That's right.
much
Yep.
But
closer representation of what's happening here.
I just meant more of
Yeah.
like how Disney was buying up all its competitors, if you will,
Yeah,
and now
yeah, I know.
Microsoft's doing the same
Microsoft to
thing.
rule the world. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not wrong. Though. I mean, like, like, yeah, Disney buying Marvel is actually probably pretty close to equivalent to uh,
Yeah.
Microsoft buying Bethesda a couple years ago. Like,
Yep.
you're not wrong. Like, they are really throwing their money around and
They're
making
flaunting that
some,
pocket.
Yeah.
yeah,
Talk about a power
making some,
move.
yeah, big moves. I mean,
Yes.
this is monumental shift
Yeah.
in the gaming space. Like,
It is.
huge.
I've never seen the social space, specifically Twitter, because I'm not really on any other social media outlet anymore. But Twitter, when I woke up to Tim spam texting me, I, you know, got on the phone, was talking to him, and I just happened to look at Twitter, and it is on fire. It was maybe still slightly,
It's
but it
been
was
blowing
on
up all day.
fire. Yeah.
I mean, this is it's insane. I mean,
It is.
it's a crazy amount of news. I mean, a crazy amount of stuff, and just again, part of it is that still since it's still so fresh, and we still it's literally the day it got announced,
Right.
so we still
Yeah.
don't know a lot of the particulars of what's going to happen. And I mean,
Yeah.
think of how long it took for the Bethesda deal to shake out, and we're still kind of feeling our way through that, and that was a year and a half, 2 years ago
Yep.
almost. Like,
I mean, yeah. I mean, what we're looking at probably until probably beginning of next year for this deal to finalize, I'd imagine.
If not longer.
I was
Yeah.
at the earliest,
Yeah.
probably. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, this has got to go through the FCC and the SEC and all those government bodies to try and you know decide that this is not a monopolist acquisition and that this still allows competition in the marketplace, which I mean to a point does, but this definitely shrinks that market for sure. Uh,
Yeah.
or well, shrinks the competition in a big way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine we would also probably see, that round table talk that they did with Bethesda. I'd imagine that would consist of like the heads of the studios, through Activision, like Infinity Ward, all the ones we named. We would probably, I would imagine we would see something like that in the future.
I mean, maybe again, we just have no idea.
Yeah, now it's everything is just, I mean, confirmed, but high speculation for now what the heck's gonna happen.
Right.
So before we started recording, I wanted to go and look and see what games Activision's made throughout the years, which was a big mistake on my part because there's hundreds, if not thousands, of games that Activision's either made or one of their subsidiaries has made. Uh, this is just a massive
Activision.
company. Go ahead, Brendan.
Yeah,
They've been around since we've been
Activision.
in diapers. I mean,
Before that, Activision's older than. I mean, definitely you two might be older than I am too. No, yeah, they are. They're older than I am. Activision's been around since the early '80s. They were one of the
Yes.
first. They were one of, if not the first, third-party publishers of video games. Like, period. Like they've been publishing games since the Atari 2600, which is the first popular home video game console, and that was back in the early '80s. Um,
damn.
like they are a powerhouse.
They are no stranger to video games.
No.
Yeah.
And so what I was getting at is I was just going to try and get a list together of like games that anybody would have seen throughout the years. And it's just, I can't even begin to formulate a list because there's just so many massive titles on there. I mean, we're talking Tony Hawk
Tony
Pro
Hawk.
Skater,
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot, Call of Duty. I mean, and the list just goes on. I mean, we've talked about it in the past. True Crime Streets of LA was, would you say, produced by Activision,
Yeah,
Brenden? I mean,
Uh, yeah,
or
produced.
published.
Yeah, produced, published by them. They might have owned the studio that made it. But I'm not 100% on that. even so, they shuttered that studio, so it's gone now anyway. But
In some way,
uh,
form, or fashion, Activision had its hand in True Crime Streets of LA.
oh yeah,
And it,
and Guitar Hero, like all of
yep,
Guitar Hero was
Guitar
them.
Hero. I wanted to mention that one. It's you can't just pinpoint one game like you can with like Bethesda or some of these other companies. They just had so many games throughout the past almost 40 years, and
Yeah,
Microsoft acquiring them is a huge move.
It
yeah,
is. I mean, like one of the. I mean, maybe before we get into it, so like when you think about like the pros and cons of this acquisition, um, there's a lot of good that can come of it, and I mean, but it also could go in ways maybe people don't want it to go too.
Say I'm definitely not going to say there's going to be any bad that comes of this. I think you said it correctly, Josh. It may go in directions that other people don't want it to go in, but I think that there's going to be nothing but good that can come from this.
Yeah.
Something that me and you had kind of talked about earlier today was hopefully Microsoft puts an end to the yearly releases of some of Activision's bigger titles like Call of Duty.
Well,
no,
yeah,
Activision's only bigger title.
that's
Well,
The only thing Activision
they
itself
did
actually
make
puts out every year.
they did make Tony Hawk Pro Skater. They did do the remasters.
the
They did.
best outcome I guess you could really take from this is how Xbox has been very pro to letting their developers have some creative freedom to creating titles. I mean, obviously, there's probably a lot of behind the scenes stuff where they meet up and Xbox, wants them to make some exclusive titles or start new projects for them or whatnot. Because I mean, no one ever really knows the true details to the behind the door stuff. But I mean, to what I'm trying to get to is Xbox is very pro to letting studios have creative freedom, which means, like with that, Call of Duty yearly release stuff, we could see less Call of Duties being released year by year, and some of those studios actually maybe tackling things they want to do.
It's possible. I
Yeah.
doubt. I doubt anything that's currently in the pipeline is going to change. Um,
And it may be a few years before anything does change.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, again, it's still going to be at the very least like a year and a half before this even gets finalized. And
Right.
once that happens, is the only time where Microsoft could actually go like, okay, now that we're in control, like this, and this, and this is going to happen. Because until then, like it's Activision is going to keep being Activision.
Yeah.
Um,
Until that check is signed over. Yeah, Activision still has control.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, we keep saying Activision, but this again also includes Blizzard, which is again they made Warcraft. They are still making World of Warcraft, which is printing money for them.
Yes.
Uh, Overwatch, Diablo, StarCraft, um, and that's the big stuff out of Blizzard more or less recently.
Yeah, they're
Um,
which is they're PC bangers, and I know with Microsoft really promoting Game Pass and Game Pass PC, that's that makes massive sense. Apart with this acquisition, that I mean those are massive PC games.
well, I mean, World of Warcraft definitely is, but I mean, Blizzard's been moving a bit more into the console space lately because Uh, I mean, it's just money they're leaving on the table. Um, but I mean, yeah, like that's a lot of huge franchises that have a lot of history. And I mean, again, like I said, World of Warcraft is still printing money. Like that player base is still multi-million strong. Like of
Oh
people
yeah.
paying $15 a month every month to keep
Yes.
playing that, and then getting their, you know, one expansion, those few expansions they get every year or two or whatever.
And
People will pay those $40 or $50 every time one of those drops.
that damn game has stood the test of time. There has been so many games to come out. They'd be like, "Oh, this is a WoW killer. This is a WoW killer," and World of Warcraft is still going strong.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's I don't know if it's quite as popular. Final Fantasy 14 online is really uh, probably supplanted it as the top MMO. At least pay to play MMO, I should say. But I mean, even then, like it's again, there's still multi millions of people. Like I think the last I heard that their like lowest player count was in like the 5 to 6, 7 million players range, and that's people who are like logging in relatively frequently and playing the game, and
That is insane.
doing whatever. Yeah, and that doesn't even again include the like spikes of when a new expansion comes out. Because when a new expansion comes out, their player count jumps because it's people jumping back into the game to try out the new content and play it and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy that
It
they're
It
getting
is.
is.
access to all of that.
And
You know, one of the right, not to cut you off, Tim,
no,
but
you're good. You're good.
circling around right now, there is a meme. There has been a meme of Thanos putting the stones on the Infinity Gauntlet, and it is the most hilarious thing that they're referencing Phil Spencer as Thanos, and each Infinity Stone is a game studio as he just sits there and throps it onto his gauntlet. That is like the most accurate, dude. Oh
That
my
is that
god.
is that is hilarious. So, with this major acquisition, I think comes with a lot of new hope for Activision and its subsidiaries, and I'm honestly excited for what's to come and what changes could be made in the what's going to end up being the far future. I'm looking forward to where this is going to take Activision as a whole and what it's going to do to the gaming industry.
What is it going to do to all these developers that are within Activision? I mean, that it's like, I mean, now realistically, all of your fantasy wants and needs that you wish these maybe people have wished these companies would do are more so realistic now. I mean, not to mention that. I mean, look at Game Pass for instance, and how many companies are pro Game Pass and putting all their content on there. I mean, Game Pass is about to get a lot of content, and I mean, let alone Call of Duty games are for sure going to be on there, which that is insane to think about.
Yeah, it
I
is.
mean, not just like every Call of Duty, like anything that any Call of Duty currently playable on an Xbox will be on Game Pass. Um, and in theory, release day one on Game Pass from now on. Like that's a big sway right there. If you can, convince people to buy an Xbox and then buy Game Pass, they never have to buy Call of Duty again.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, straight.
So Josh and I were talking about this earlier. I think it's still kind of a lot of speculation, and we don't need to get too far into this. Is that if Call of Duty is going to end up being an Xbox exclusive, or if it's going to stay
Yeah,
multi-platform?
yep.
But what we were talking about is this is such a power move for Microsoft because if it is exclusive, or since it is coming to Game Pass day one, you now have even more incentive to buy an Xbox over a PlayStation, or you have more incentive to get rid of your PlayStation and buy an Xbox because you're either going to have this exclusivity of Call of Duty, or you're going to have the ability to have
It
it
plays
for
better.
$15 a month.
Well, it's a lot of factors. I mean, because like they can go many different ways with either making it exclusive or keeping it multi-platform. But if they kept it multi-platform, it would still play better on Xbox, like how they have that motto.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
um, I mean, again, I don't think even if it cuts to that point, I still don't think that's going to happen for a while because I'm sure Activision has committed contracts with PlayStation and stuff
yeah,
about.
absolutely.
So I mean, like after Microsoft bought uh, Bethesda, um, Deathloop is still uh, exclusive to PlayStation for another, I think, 3 or 4 months or something like that.
right.
Um, so like I think if there is any contracts that are still on the table, I think
They
Microsoft
will
is
be
going to
honored.
honor those. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but even that, like even if it does go multi-platform, like I mean, that's great. And if it doesn't, then it'll still be on PC and Xbox. So you'll still kind of have an option.
Right.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because Microsoft is very committed to the PC space.
yeah. They
Um,
are.
I personally, and maybe I'm just being naive, I don't see, at least at this time, not for the next few years, I don't see Call of Duty being a Xbox exclusive. I think it's going to stay multi-platform for a
That
while.
yeah, that compared to like I mean, yeah, the Elder Scrolls series and a lot of stuff that Bethesda's done. I mean, they don't have. I mean, I could be wrong. They don't have nearly the magnitude of player base as Call of Duty does in general. Just such a like like Brenden
Oh
said, Activision's been around forever,
Yeah.
and Call of Duty has such a massive player base presence. It's less likely to go exclusive, but it's definitely not out of the cards, I'd
I
imagine.
don't think so.
yeah, no. I mean, Call of Duty is one of the best-selling games every year,
Yes.
and I like every single year, despite how good or bad some people think each game is. It's usually the top 5 best-selling games every year, with like without fail.
Yeah.
Like it just sells itself. And taking that off of PlayStation would be a huge hit to that number. Because the PlayStation 4 and maybe even PlayStation 5, like that's a huge chunk of the player base. That's, I mean, PlayStation 4 sold over 100 million units. Um, and I mean, granted, maybe not all of those are still active players, let alone active Call of Duty players, but like not tapping into that resource would be counterproductive to making money, which at the end of the day is the goal.
So for
Well,
argument's
yeah.
sake, you could say that of those 400 million, 200 million of those played Call of Duty. So yeah, that's 200 million players that you're losing out on. And at
Yeah.
$50 a pop, I don't even want to do that math because that's a stupid high number.
Well, I mean, well, yeah, it sold over
Yeah.
100 million, not 400 million,
Or
but
sorry, I thought you said 400 million. I wasn't obviously
sorry.
paying attention. So of those 100 million, 50 million.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Like, I mean, I've told you guys this statistic before. Like, the single worst year that Call of Duty ever had was in 2013 when Call of Duty Ghost came out. Uh,
That's true. Yep.
except for a few of the earlier ones, like Call of Duty 1, 2, and like a few of the spin-offs of Call of Duty 2.
Well,
Like, outside of those, the worst year Call of Duty ever had was Call of Duty Ghost in 2013, and it still sold 13.5 million copies, almost 14 million, I think, somewhere in that range. There are entire game franchises that have been around for years that have not sold that many copies.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, just facts. Yep,
and
that's
that's
true.
just for that year. And, like,
that's insane.
and I supposedly they have. I mean, they haven't revealed the numbers for Vanguard yet, and I don't know if they will. Uh, just because supposedly it hasn't been doing that well, or as well as they would have liked. But again, even a bad year for Call of Duty is still going to be
A
multi
good
millions
year
of
for a lot of
sales.
others.
Yeah,
Would be a good year for a lot of others.
it would be a great year for almost any
Yeah.
other game on the planet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very
I
true.
mean,
Okay,
I
so
mean, yeah, well, because like what they said that Vanguard's not doing well, and there's speculation that they're gonna push up the release of this next possible Modern Warfare sequel to an earlier launch to kind of get out of that rut of which is Vanguard. So that whatever they consider that as a
I,
failure or whatnot.
I mean,
okay,
I don't know about that, but uh,
It's just rumor, hey, quote
oh no, I
unquote
know, I get you.
rumors
I
for
mean, I
sure.
just don't see them trying to rush it out. Like, I mean, they put out a Call of Duty every year. Putting it out a month earlier is not going to make a big fucking difference. Like,
no.
it's Call of Duty. It's going to do what it does.
100%. And on that topic, I mean, the fact that Microsoft has, you know, is acquiring them, I mean, we could see the Call of Duty franchise get better in some form or fashion. Maybe that's just speculation. I mean, like I saw today a lot of content creators, streamers, whatnot. A lot of been watching in on a lot of stuff, and a lot of people are mentioning, their hopes is that a lot of these issues and unheard voices due to just what people are having issues with and have been having issues with a lot of these Call of Duty games and a lot of the lack of communication between player base and you know the company in general.
Yeah,
will hopefully see a course correction in that area and maybe see more content friendly, just stuff coming from Call of Duty in general due to Microsoft being so consumer friendly and very active on getting back to their community.
So with that, I think that this could go. I think two. There's probably multiple paths this could go. I think two of the bigger paths are going to be Microsoft could sit back and do nothing and let the Call of Duty developers do what they do, or they could really get involved, try and turn it around, try to rejuvenate that franchise, really focus on listening to the community and really trying to fix the game and trying to make it better. Or like I said, they could just sit back and, let them do what they've been doing.
I think that it is a massive possibility because Microsoft has proven themselves to be that type of person to get in there and help better things. I mean, like the only thing I can really think of is like when they partnered up with GameStop to help them out, to help improve things. Microsoft is always, not maybe not always, but they've seemed to have been acting like the big brother to things.
Well, I mean that thing with GameStop is totally different.
I mean, it was just the reference of their act to kind of like get into things. I mean, that's the only reference I have. I don't know what
I
else.
mean, if Phil Spencer, who is the current head of Xbox and has been since 2014 or 15, somewhere around there, after the Xbox One launch, a little while after that, he took over. And his whole job is to be the head of Xbox, and he has been a very pro gamer, consumer friendly. I mean, I don't want to say like anti-business because I mean he's still making money off this stuff, but he's like to a point he kind of feels like a regular gamer and like he wants what regular gamers want, and he's doing these very positive pro-consumer initiatives. I mean, again, he's the reason Game Pass exists. He's the reason why
Xbox
cross-platform
didn't die.
play. Well, he's
It
part of
it was
that.
almost shut down, was it not? I mean,
No, it wasn't almost shut down.
no.
But I mean, he's the reason why cross-platform play has become such a big thing in the past generation and now because he was pushing for it. Um, that's the thing is like he is a very high executive. I mean, at Microsoft as a whole, but again, the head of Xbox. So he's a man in a powerful position, and he's not afraid to speak his mind, and he just throws this stuff out there. And like, I mean, to a point, it's sort of like if the president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment came out and said this stuff, which he doesn't. Like that guy usually kind of keeps to himself. And he might comment on like certain speculation or whatever, but he doesn't come out with these. He's those guys still feel like businessmen. Whereas Phil Spencer feels like a gamer who just happens to be the head of Xbox.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like he's again. I mean, I sort of reiterated the point, but he's almost every move he's made since he's been at the head of Xbox has been a positive, consumer friendly, player friendly uh, stuff. Like he very much is trying to look towards the future, um, and trying to, just make sure that people are still playing on Xbox and that they want to be
Oh,
playing
did we
on Xbox wherever that is.
did we
Yeah.
lose
I
Brenden
mean,
there?
like one of Phil Spencer's, I think one of his favorite things to do when it comes to interviews, say video interviews of him, specifically speaking on camera and stuff like that when he's in his office. He loves putting Easter eggs within his office. And what's been circulating, I saw pop up, is I guess one of his frequent. Phil Spencer loves Easter eggs, right? He's been I think he mostly enjoys that. So every time he does podcasts or interviews, he likes to hide Easter eggs, maybe a few acquisitions or games to come. Puts Easter eggs in his office, and I guess one of the biggest ones people apparently missed that everybody's like, "What the hell? How did we miss this?" Is one of his interviews. He had an Activision logo in his office,
Did he really?
which is yeah, which is crazy. And
That
I'm
is
like, well,
nuts.
I'm like, yeah,
Okay.
I mean, he's been notorious for that stuff. Um, I mean, there's a time he walked out to the stage at E3 with a Battletoads logo on his shirt, which
Did he?
was
No way.
yeah. Uh, that was after again. That was after he took over. And then yeah, I mean, it took a few years later, but eventually we did get a new Battletoads, which is ridiculous in itself.
That's
He
insane.
must get so much joy out of what he does.
Well, if he's a
I
gamer
mean,
like me and you, of course he's going
Yeah.
to.
Heck yeah.
I mean,
It's
again, like he's. I genuinely can't think of anything that he's done that has been.
like
And I mean, maybe
negative.
I'm wrong, but yeah, I can't think of anything he's done that has been like anti-consumer or anti-gamer. Um, like a lot of the stuff he's again like he even keeps talking about it. He's like, you know, it even happened earlier this week or like late last week. There's been some more smoke to the fire of a PlayStation Game Pass competitor, and they talked to Phil Spencer about it and like how he felt about it. He's like I'm not surprised. Like this is exactly what we've seen coming. It's why we started doing it. Like, and if anything, it's good for the industry because it'll be PlayStation has to step their game up. Um, and like if PlayStation has to step their game up, and like so do we. We got to keep going. Like we got to keep pushing. Like this doesn't mean we get to slow down and rest on our laurels. Like he is very much trying to be proactive and push for all of this stuff. Um, to again just make gaming better in general than when he started.
Right.
Oh yeah. I mean, even when you look at this, I mean, like with Ubisoft releasing that AAA title, the next installment to the Rainbow Six series, which is Rainbow Six Extinction, and they're launching that day one on Game
Extraction.
Pass, and also the news of Ubisoft Plus coming to Xbox consoles, then people speculating that they might partner up with Game Pass as EA did to bring their entire catalog to Game Pass, but that's just speculation.
So,
Well, the thing with that though is EA already had its own subscription service, and Game Pass is, I mean, essentially just runs through EA's subscription service. So essentially, by getting Game Pass, you are getting EA's subscription service for free.
Yeah.
Um, it's just part of the value. Ubisoft doesn't have one of those. Um, so I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible that all the Ubisoft stuff's going to go on there, but like that was the hook there. Is that made a lot of sense because then it helps EA out because it gets their subscription service out there farther.
Yeah.
Um, even though it sucks, uh, but since Ubisoft doesn't have that, I don't know if they're gonna if that's gonna be a thing. Maybe it is. I don't know, but it makes less sense for me for Ubisoft to do that.
so with this acquisition of Activision, do you think we will get any any games that maybe died off in the past? Do you think any of those will be remade, remastered, or get a sequel made to them that
God, I
maybe
hope so.
the community's been begging for, but Activision's been ignoring us on?
That's a big possibility. And
Like
I mean,
Guitar Hero.
Microsoft has yeah, I mean, Microsoft's been very pro to revamping things that have been in the past. I don't know more. I don't know if Guitar Hero would come back as Rock Band is kind of like been ups and down.
I
They're
don't.
both. I mean, the that entire music rhythm genre is basically dead, and it was
Yeah,
because it was driven into the ground um, by Guitar Hero and Rock Band both. Like they both overdid it. Um, but I mean, I think that's debatably the best thing that could come out of this is a bunch of forgotten stuff that Activision hasn't touched in ages because they've been too busy putting in
Call of
such little
Duty.
effort to make money with Call of Duty.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean that I mean, I know this makes me sound like, a jerk, but like it's the only thing that Activision has done of any relevance in the last probably 5 to 10 years is put out Call of Duty. And yes, they did remaster the Crash Bandicoot, and so they made the Insane trilogy. And then they actually did bring out Crash Bandicoot 4,
Right.
um, which was cool. And other than that, like they've just gone back on the remaster train. They made that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 HD remake thing.
Yep.
They remastered Spyro. They remastered Crash Team Racing. Um, like all of which is cool, but outside of the nostalgia pop, like that's nothing. Like Activision has been sitting on its hands, making money from Call of Duty and Warzone, and then making money off of the Blizzard arm. And then on top of that, the other part of this we didn't even talk about is that they also get King Digital, which is another mobile developer, which
Oh.
I guarantee you that everybody knows King Digital one way or another because you probably played one of their games on your phone. Like they own Candy Crush and all the
That's
variants of
right.
that,
Yep.
Soda Pop, whatever,
No,
all the other
no
dumb shit
shit.
variants of that. Like that also makes a fuck ton of money. And like again, Activision has, in order for Activision not to make money at this point, they would have actively tried not to, just because World of Warcraft is printing so much money, and they had King, which was making so much money, and yeah, they just made Call of Duty every year.
Yep.
Like they would have literally had to just like, I mean, I don't even know what it would have taken for them to not make money. Like I really don't even know.
They could have tried to make a bad game, and they still would have made a shit ton of money.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would argue that they have been. They've been putting out shitty Call of Duties
Well,
for like
yeah,
the last
mean,
you're not
15
wrong.
years.
You're not
Yeah,
wrong.
well, yeah. Like, because, like, when you look at, like, I mean, look at quite a few years back when those lead developers in Infinity Ward separated from the company due to creative control issues. I mean, uh, like I mentioned earlier, we could see a positive shift in better Call of Duty games in general, which is the hope for maybe these devs don't maybe these devs want to do things that they've not been able to do in a Call of Duty game. I mean, like maybe we might see that shift.
Or maybe they don't want to make Call of Duty games
Yeah,
anymore.
That's exactly
Call of Duty could
that's the
cease
other
to
point I brought up
exist.
earlier. Yes,
Like,
they want to do other projects.
I mean, the amount of studios now that are working on Call of Duty,
It's just
like,
asinine.
oh yeah, it's obscene. Like High Moon Studios, they made the Transformers War for Cybertron games that came out on the 360 that were pretty well received and did pretty well. But then after that, Activision just moved them to Call of Duty because Call of Duty was making too much money.
Dude, they've got
Uh,
like 8 studios working on Call of Duty.
yeah,
They do.
oh
That is
yeah, and I
obscene.
mean, and again, yeah, I mean, we talked about this a little bit beforehand. Neversoft used to make all of the Tony Hawk games. After Tony Hawk went down, they were mostly just a support studio, and then when they dissolved the studio, they moved all those people onto what? Other
Call
Call
of
of Duty
Duty.
projects. Like Raven Software. I used to love Raven Software games. They made tremendous games. They made the X-Men RPG beat 'em ups that came out in the GameCube, PS2, Xbox era. They made Singularity, which came out I think like 2010, was kind of like a BioShock knockoff, but it was pretty good. Um, like they're a legendary developer in their own right. What are they doing right now? They're working on Warzone. Like,
Which is a dumpster fire, by the way.
I
Bad.
mean,
We won't get
like,
into that.
yeah,
No.
I
But
mean,
yeah, but
yeah,
that's the potential is just squandered.
well, yeah, and Beanox Studio
Mm-hmm.
also they made Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, which was a huge hit in like I think it was like 2010, 2011. It
On the
was
360 and PlayStation
yeah,
3, right?
yeah, it was huge. Did great numbers, and then they followed that up with Spider-Man Edge of Time that didn't do as well. After Spider-Man Edge of Time tanked, what happened? Guess what?
Call
You
of
get to
Duty.
work on Call of Duty. It's almost like this weird punishment of the second you fail at Activision, you are forced into the slave labor camp of working on Call of Duty. It's the
Oh man.
it's the worst thing. Like, and again, maybe they'll fix some of this, maybe they won't. I don't know, but like, I feel so bad for all of these people who have just been shackled to the teat that is Call of Duty and Activision, and just making this nightmare. fuel. Well, for me anyway, because I hate Call of Duty. But like, it just blows my mind that they basically turned into the entirety of Activision, more or less turned into turning out licensed garbage, because they put out they bought a bunch of licenses for a bunch of things and just put out like kind of garbage games, and then putting out Call of Duty, and that's basically all that they've done. Like that's all they've done for like the last 8 years.
I'm surprised they never rebranded their name to Call of Duty.
Call of Duty Studios. Yeah.
Call of Duty Studios. I mean.
All right, so we really should wrap this up. But before we wrap this up, Brenden, I've got one question.
I'm not playing Call of Duty. I don't care what they do to it.
If there are major changes made and Microsoft has more of a hand in Call of Duty, will you pick it up?
No.
Will you ever consider going back if it shifts in a direction maybe you've wanted it to go?
No, because if it changes too much, then it isn't Call of Duty anymore. And if it doesn't change enough, then it's still Call of Duty, and I still don't care. Like it's too late. Like I'm off that train, and I plan on staying off of it forever. Like it's
well, I guess you heard it here.
Hey, you heard it exclusively. Brenden will never play a Call of Duty game as long as he lives.
But we're gonna hold him to this.
Maybe even in death, you'll never even try to.
If he ever picks up another Call of Duty title, we're gonna reference this episode.
We will. This is proof. This is substantial proof. If Brenden picks up a Call of Duty title, we will never let it. We'll never let it go.
I haven't done it in 11 years. I don't know why you think I'm gonna do it now.
I've been trying to convince you.
Modern Warfare 2.
I've been trying to convince you for the past 2 years to get Warzone to play with us. That's why.
And I still won't. And now I've won that battle because you guys aren't playing it anymore.
Yeah, well, that's a conversation for another time, okay? Anyways, if you guys don't have anything else that we really need to throw in with this acquisition, I think we're going to wrap this up.
No, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so
I think I've spoken my mind.
So that there is the acquisition that Microsoft made on Activision. We really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget, you could like, subscribe, 5 stars, follow, thumbs up. Citizens Gaming Podcast, COG Podcast on Twitter. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Anyways, we really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you.
Later, guys.
Thanks for listening.